For most of my life, I believed one thing. If I just tried harder, I'd finally get it right. I'd be more present, more connected, more caring, more normal. But trying harder didn't fix anything. In fact, it made things worse, especially with the people I loved most. And if you've ever felt like no matter how hard you try, you still fall short, you're not broken. You're working against your wiring. Let me explain. There was a period with my oldest daughter where she would tell me, sometimes gently, sometimes not so gently, that she felt I wasn't really there with her. And every time she said it, I went straight into the same conclusion. Okay, I'll try harder. So I would push myself, be more attentive, more emotional, more consistent for a while. But the truth is, just trying harder didn't make me more connected. It made me more unstable. Because when the effort ran out, and it always did, I would inevitably retreat again. And that retreat hurt her worse than the original disconnection. Not because I wanted to hurt her, but because I didn't understand myself. I didn't understand my wiring. I didn't understand why trying harder wasn't enough. This is where the misunderstanding begins. For years, I internalized everything people told me. You don't listen. You don't care. You're not emotionally present. You're disconnected. And instead of understanding my brain, I blamed my character. I, I thought, I'm lazy. I'm undisciplined. I just don't try enough. I'm a bad person. I'm not trying as hard as everyone else. So naturally, I decided the solution was to try harder. But here's the problem with that. Trying harder assumes the issue is effort, when the real issue is operating system. Trying harder assumes you have the same emotional tools as everyone else. You just aren't using them. But narcissistic wiring doesn't work like that. It's not an effort problem. It's a mechanism problem, a wiring problem, a pattern problem. Trying harder didn't make me more consistent. It made me more reactive, more anxious, more ashamed, more unpredictable. Because you can't brute force your way into a way of being that your system isn't built to run. The real transformation didn't start when I tried harder. It started when I stopped trying to be someone I wasn't and began understanding who I actually am. What I eventually discovered is that my disconnection wasn't a moral failure. It wasn't laziness. It wasn't a lack of discipline. It was a misunderstanding of my own architecture. Here's what that looked like. My emotions didn't work the same way as other people's. Not better, not worse, just different. Emotional responses were not reflexive. Most people feel, then respond. Narcissists often analyze, withdraw, decide whether to respond. My empathy wasn't missing. It was slower, less automatic, more cognitive. My relational presence wasn't consistent because I didn't understand why I retreated. Shame made everything worse. The more I tried, the more I failed. The more I failed, the more I retreated. The more I retreated, the more people got hurt. Trying harder just amplified the cycle. But once I understood my operating system, the way my brain actually functions, everything shifted. This is where intentional connection comes in. Before I tried to fake what I thought normal emotional response looked like, if someone shared something sad, I'd try to look moved. If someone was excited, I'd try to match their excitement. If someone expressed frustration or fear, I'd try to imitate what compassion is supposed to look like. But imitating connection isn't connection, and I could never do it consistently. Now, instead of faking it, I say things like, I can tell this is big for you. Help me understand. I don't feel this the same way you do, but I want to be here with you. If you express this differently, I might understand it more clearly. Here's what I can offer right now. These are not performative responses, they're honest ones. And for the first time in my life, people can actually trust me, even if my emotional range looks different than theirs, because I'm showing up as who I am, not who I think I'm supposed to be. If this is resonating with you, whether you're the narcissist or loving one, drop a comment below. What have you tried? Trying harder to fix? Where has it worked? And where has it just made things worse? I genuinely read every comment, and your experiences matter here. And if these videos help you understand yourself or someone you love, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Let me give you a real example of how intentionality works. Recently, we were dropping one of my kids off at a soccer camp, and we ran into another family who invited us to a nearby lake afterward. My daughter was excited. My ex-wife thought it sounded fun. And I had this immediate internal reaction. Like, I don't want to go, not because I'm antisocial, not because I'm shy, not because there's something wrong with me, but because I understand myself now. I already spend my weekdays interacting with tons of people. I don't recharge socially. I had been looking forward to a quiet hike in the woods. Socializing with strangers drains me. So instead of forcing myself to go and then resenting everyone for it later, which is what the old version of me would have done, I simply said, I'm open to you guys doing that, but I really want to hike. So if you want, I'll drop you at the lake and meet you after. No, no shame, no pretending, no self betrayal. They chose the hike, and we had an incredible day. Everyone enjoyed themselves because I showed up authentically instead of performatively. This is what intentional connection looks like. The biggest shift in all of this is simple. I'm not broken. I'm different. Trying harder wasn't the solution. Understanding myself was the solution. Because once I stopped fighting my wiring and started working with it, I became someone people could actually depend on. Not because I became perfect, but because I became predictable in my authenticity. That is what builds trust. Not imitation, not performance, but self-awareness and honesty. If you're waking up inside these patterns and you're tired of trying harder without getting anywhere, you don't have to figure this out alone. My free online community is a place to explore your wiring, your relationships, and your awakening with people who actually get it. The link is in the description. Come join us. Because here's the deeper truth. Trying harder doesn't fail because you're weak. It fails because you're fighting an internal operating system that was built long before adulthood. Once you understand that system, everything, your reactions, your shutdowns, your inconsistency, finally makes sense. I'm breaking down that system. In the upcoming flagship video, the narcissistic operating system you were never told about. Don't miss it.